Introduce our next research speaker. So, alhamdulillah, we're really privileged to be joined today by Dr. Boumediene Hamzi, who will be talking about mathematics, machine learning, and Islamic philosophy. Dr. Hamzi is a senior scientist at the Department of Computing and Mathematical Sciences at Caltech. He co-leads the research interest group on machine learning and dynamical systems at the Alan Turing Institute. His main research interests are the interfaces of machine learning, dynamical systems, and algorithmic information theory in view of analysing complex systems and developing a robust theoretical framework for machine learning. Boumediene has been studying Western and Islamic philosophy for around 20 years, and currently he is pursuing a part-time degree in Islamic philosophy. I'll now hand over the mic to Boumediene.
All right, thank you. Do you hear me? Is it good? اوكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما اغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي الى صراطك المستقيم وعلى اله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. اللهم لا علم لنا الا ما علمتنا انك انت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما انك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم انا نسالك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين المقربين. اللهم اجعل لساني عاملا بذكرك وقلبي بخشيتك انك على ما تشاء قدير وانت حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. So I am Boumediene Hamzi, and so today I'm going to talk about the interface of mathematics, machine learning, and Islamic philosophy. So I would like first to thank the Muslim Research Networks for giving me the opportunity to talk. So that talk came as, as out of an invitation to write a paper on the topic by Dr. Amina Inlos on a book she is editing on Islam and AI. And so I thought before writing the paper, I should talk about it. So I'm going to develop the philosophical argument. And so I'm really looking forward for feedback from everyone here, especially objections, because this is going to be a philosophical talk. So I'm hoping that people will be able to refute my thesis. I'll thank also Mohammadi for giving me some good feedback about my previous slides. And some of my friends, Sheikh Suhail Hanif and Yusuf Jah, and Faris Abdul Hadi and Ataullah, who gave me some interesting feedback about the presentation. So the outline of the talk is divided into three parts. So I'm going to first identify the problem of AI, machine learning, and mathematics, and Islamic and Western philosophy initially as an interface between philosophy and AI and machine learning. So I'm going to talk about the problem of evolution of worldviews and the questions of what is real, how do we know ourselves, and what does it mean to be a human being. Then I'm going to talk about Heidegger's concept of inframing as a concept to understand modern technology, including AI and machine learning. And then I'll talk about two problems. So the problem of carrying machine learning into philosophy and the problem of carrying philosophy into machine learning. So part two is basically philosophy for AI machine learning. And here I want to illustrate the role of Islamic philosophy by looking at what intellect means, that a human being has two categories of intellect that are the original and analogic intellect, that we have two categories of knowledge, what we call intellectual knowledge and transmitted knowledge. And
would you mind speaking closer to the mic so everyone can
yeah, so that's my problem somehow. I really not like handling a microphone, so. Is it better now? Do you hear me? Yeah, people in the back, do you hear me? Or yeah, all right, okay. Yeah, so I said, so I would like to argue. So first, we defined the philosophical framework, and then I would like to see how philosophy works for AI machine learning, and then the problem of carrying machine learning into philosophy. And as I already talked about this, the two categories of intellect, two categories of knowledge, and two eyes of the heart. And the other problem is the other direction of AI machine learning for philosophy and the problem of carrying philosophy into machine learning. And we would like to understand what is mathematics, what is the role of mathematics in AI for machine learning, for machine learning and for machine learning. And then I'll see how my talk about my research interests and how they will fit in within the whole picture. But I'm not clear I'll be able to reach part three, but we'll see. So I'll start summarizing so that you understand where I am getting at, and then I'll develop the argument. So AI is a broad scientific discipline with its roots in philosophy, mathematics, and computer science that aims to understand and develop systems that display properties of intelligence. Machine learning is a subdiscipline of AI where computer programs, algorithms learn associations of predictive power from examples in data. AI and machine learning are not like any other instrument, since they aim at mimicking human faculties like learning and intelligence. The philosophical position adopted while developing these technologies is not philosophically neutral. It is most likely atheistic or agnostic, but definitely not God-centered. There is a subtle philosophical bias towards Western thought, and among the objectives is transhumanism and transforming human beings into products. So data, really, there is an underlying premise here in the way AI and ML are built in, is that data define what is real. So dealing continuously with machine learning and AI models that are not philosophically neutral will impact the mind, which will change the aqidah, which is the way we view the world from Islamic perspective. And so the worldview and has our soul, because we have a connection between our aqidah and how our soul reacts to reality. In Islamic philosophy, the intellect, aql, is a living awareness of the way things actually are, as we say. So it has two eyes, the analogic intellect and the original intellect. Machine learning and AI models are feeding the analogic intellect with wrong information about the world based on the premise that only what is measurable is real. And it is important for practicing Muslims dealing with AI and machine learning to make dhikr, because dhikr means like you are reconnecting to reality and working on having a pure heart that will experience reality as it is, qalbun salim, as we say, and that will reflect the real and what it means to be in the world. We already know that Allah Azza wa Jal is the real, like in the Surah Fussilat, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. So he is the real, and we know that he is the real since he taught Adam all the names. عَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So this is what it means. It means that we know reality is Allah, and then we're just reflecting reality in our hearts. So we experience the world with our souls, but the mind superimposes its limitation from the philosophical framework it is adopting on reality and makes reality appear in a way that is consistent with those limitations. So you see that if you adopt an atheistic or agnostic point of view, or that you say only what data gives you is real, then you got a very biased view on what reality is. So this means that there will be like a discrepancy between what you see with your heart and what your mind is telling you that you are seeing. And so if the discrepancy is large, then there will be a conflict that will lead to a spiritual crisis. So based on these arguments, I'm trying to argue for the importance of developing Islamic large language models. So it's like I found a name somehow, Islam with two L's, and also importance of bringing the human factor back into the scene. Importance of bringing the human factor back into the scene. So Allah appointed human beings as His khulafa, not transhumans. So as human beings, we are perfect enough because Allah created us, and Allah said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. So there is no need for upgrade, and so we don't need transhumans. So the essence, so then the part 3, summary of part 3. So I'm going to define the definition of the mathematical according to Heidegger. So the essence of the mathematical is not determined by the numerical. Rather, the mathematical constitutes a feature of the projection of being that makes entities learnable, i.e. regular and describable. So mathematics of machine learning, or for machine learning, is a way of carrying philosophy into machine learning. And so my research interests are just the interface of different things. So I'm arguing that dynamical system theory and algorithmic information theory should be parts of the theoretical foundations of machine learning in view of making it more rational. Okay, part 1. So here I want to, part 1 is about philosophy for AI and machine learning. So here's the problem is philosophy for AI, machine learning, and carrying AI, machine learning into philosophy. So it means that Muslim machine learning researchers and AI researchers and practitioners must adopt a philosophical position while developing using ML. So they have to be aware that there is an underlying philosophical framework, and the role of Islamic philosophy here will be important because it will be answering the questions: what is real? What does it mean to be in the world? And how do we know what we know, and what should we use to know? So here I'm going to argue for Heidegger's concept of inframing as a philosophical concept to allow us to understand what's going on. That in reality, technology is putting glasses on the mind. And so we don't see the glasses, but in reality, we are seeing reality through the glasses. And if the glasses are biased towards something not divine, then there will be a problem. And here I want to argue for Islamic philosophy as a response to Heidegger's concept of inframing. Okay, so now I'm going to just summarize the question of worldviews and how we have been looking at the world from the beginning, and then how there was like a philosophical shifts in the way the world is viewed. So we are familiar as practicing Muslims with the God-centered worldview. So God defines what it means to be a human being. He sends prophets to be followed and to remind us about our mission on earth. So here I'm using the word remind because we already know, because there is this concept of the full circle from Allah to Allah, like we are familiar with the statement, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we come from Allah and we go back to Him. So there is this large full circle, and we have like smaller circles, but the larger circle is the day of the covenant in the maqam alastu bi rabbikum, which is stage one, when Allah said, alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala. So we are already with Allah, so we know that Allah created us and our soul witnessed that, and then we already said yes. Then we came to the dunya, that's stage 2. Stage 3 is the barzakh, when we are dead. Then mahshar, resurrection, is stage 4. And then stage 5 is when we are in Yawm al-Qiyamah. And then we have 2 categories, fariqun fil jannah wa fariqun fil sa'ir. And these are 2 manifestations of the names Jamal and Jalal. So we see there is the idea of the full circle of 5 stages. But then we have the smaller circles that we are in the dunya. We also have to think that we are from Allah, and we have to we go back to Allah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we have to live our entire life in this dunya according to this principle. And how do we do that? First, there is this statement of Imam Ali, who said that one who knows himself knows his Lord. Man arafa nafsah faqad arafa rabbah. And so we know ourselves via prophets. So Allah sent us out of His mercy prophets, because we are doomed if we don't have prophets. And so we are Allah's, and to Him we return. And the perfect human being is Khalifatullah fil ard. So Allah defines who is Khalifatullah fil ard, and we believe that the prophets are the perfect human beings that are meant to be followed. And here in this God-centered worldview, God is the real, huwa al-haq. But then there is this distinction, there is this problem that happened in Western thought at the beginning of the Enlightenment through what we call the Cartesian distinction, which is the separation between object and subject, that human beings separated themselves from the world and thought somehow that they can be objective, that they are able to be objective about the way they see the world. And so this statement that you are familiar with, I think, therefore I am. So you see, it's no longer the define at the center. It's no longer inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It becomes from I to I, from human to human. So therefore, they got rid of the divine, and now it's the human who becomes the word of the center of the worldview, and this is what we call humanism, and this is what we have, what we call human-centered worldview. Okay, so in that case, so we have the Western philosophers define what it means to be a human being through criteria like reason, individualism, scientific approach. Otherwise, they will become dehumanized. If you don't fit within their role model, the perfect human being, according to them, is what they define as themselves with these concepts. And so, therefore, they are dehumanized, and hence we get settler colonialism and genocide that we have been seeing for the last 300 years, and then what we are witnessing now in Palestine. So these philosophers and scientists are viewed as prophets by their followers, and see these prophets talk about the future of humanity. If you go to Google and put the future of humanity, you are not going to see believers, you are going to see atheists and agnostics who are totally messed up in a way that, Shahid Hakim Murad, he calls them zombies because they don't have really souls. They are just like walking bodies without souls. So this, they define what is real and define how you should view the world. They decide what one can think about, what one can't say or do. And then they classify human beings into different categories. Some humans are worthy because they are consistent with their worldview. Some humans are less worthy, and others are unworthy and therefore will be dehumanized. And so, ethnic cleansing is justified this way. And the other worldview that is like where we are in now is based on the data revolution. So it's a data-centered worldview. So basically, as we said, the real is defined by what is measured, quantifiable. So big tech companies define the perfect human being as a transhuman. So a human being is no longer perfect or enough. A transhuman to be uploaded to the cloud, because they view human beings as information. So all you need to do is to upload him to the cloud, and therefore he'll be perfect. Otherwise, we are expecting that there will be people who don't agree with this worldview will be dehumanized. And so the philosopher and scientists agreeing with this worldview defined by big tech companies are to be viewed as prophets, between quotes, but then it will be the same kind of arguments. They decide about everything, talk about the future of humanity, and somehow we are supposed to listen to them. And then I'm going to give like two examples. So Jürgen Habermas is now a philosopher now who's representative of of the Enlightenment in the modern age. And then somehow, I mean, people used to like him. And but suddenly, when Gaza came in, the events in Palestine, he like established a new principle for enlightenment, that Israel's actions are valid in principle. So somehow it became a new axiom of the enlightenment that started like about 300 years ago. Now you get a new axiom that you cannot question Israel's actions because they are justified in principle. So it just becomes a principle. And then if you don't agree with it, then you can imagine what happens, that you are going to be so you are no longer a human being, like not a worthy human being. So maybe you become less worthy. And you could see that you become dehumanized. And that's what's exactly happening in Gaza, because people are really dehumanized there. Example two, Yuval Harari, I think I'm sure a lot of people heard of him. He's saying that religion is no more than arbitrary beliefs and behaviors. So he's criticizing the God-centered worldview. Humanism, the second worldview, is reliance on subjective experiences like desires and experiences. So he doesn't believe that is a good thing. But then he tells you AI knows you more than you know yourself. So what AI can tell you is not real. So you see, he's already defining reality through an AI point of view, that what is measured is real. And therefore, you see the conclusion. We don't see Allah. We cannot measure him. Therefore, he's not real. And somehow, you just have to follow him. And yeah, question two, how do we know what we know? What should we use to know? So this like brings us back to the question of the two major philosophical schools in Western philosophy, that are rationalism and empiricism. Rationalism states that there are abstract ideas that can be reached by the mind, like reason. And empiricism says that we can reach abstract objects or knowledge via the five senses. So we have classical positions in classical philosophy where we have two concepts, episteme and techne. So episteme is the ability to get knowledge via abstract reasoning, and techne is what we have knowledge via tools. You see, it's a subclass of empiricism because we are talking about tools here. So these are two distinct but complementary forms in classical philosophy. And the reason is that techne in earlier societies involved a closer, more respectful relationship between humans and the natural world. But according to Heidegger, technology, and in particular modern technology arising from the Industrial Revolution, is not merely a means to an end or collection of machines and gadgets. Technology is a way of revealing and understanding the world. And AI and machine learning are very good examples about this. Since machine learning aims at learning, you see we are trying to mimic learning, and AI aims at intelligence. So here, it means that things that we know via AI and machine learning are no longer neutral, because we are having a revealing of what's happening in the world. In philosophical language, it means that the epistemic value of things known via AI are different from things known via like some static objects, like the experience of a hammer nailing a nail. Is going to be different. What we know through these two experiences is going to be fundamentally different. And Heidegger actually argues for like an ontological argument, but I don't have time to talk about this. Okay, I'm going to illustrate this through two examples. So first is what happened to Nietzsche in 1882 when he started losing his eyesight. And, well, actually not losing, but he had problems with his eyesight. And so he bought a typewriter, and in order to be able to keep writing while closing his eyes. So what he noticed, and this has the title here, is the influence of the typewriter on Nietzsche's thought process and prose style. One of his friends realized that because he's no longer using a pen, then the flow of thoughts from the mind to the paper gets disrupted by the mean itself. If you're using like a mechanical typewriter, you see there is a discretization of the way you are dealing with things. But then this way, I mean, your brain is getting rewired because you are used to these mechanical things, and therefore your thoughts themselves get discretized. And so our writing equipment takes part in the forming of our thoughts. And Nietzsche's prose changed from arguments to aphorism, from thoughts to poems, from rhetoric to telegram style. Do I have 1 minute? Oh my God. So Mohammed is right. He said that you have 5 talks in your talk. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to like maybe finish. Okay, I won't have time actually then to talk about okay, let me just do put the Islamic answer. Because I think the intellect has two forms. original intellect that's answered the question ألست بربكم. Analogic intellect gives the transmitted knowledge, and then أرنا حقيقة الأشياء كما هي. So we see things as they truly are. And so Muslim researchers in AI and users of machine learning should be aware that machine learning AI models are based on a reductionist approach. Make sure that the one is feeding the soul, reading Quran, making dhikr to feed the second eye instead of just being focused on one eye that is being fed by the wrong information. So we want to make sure that we are connected to reality as such, and to not become or be one-eyed inframed beings. So Muslim scholars should develop philosophical kalam arguments. So there is this idea of Islamic language models. So I created like a LinkedIn group a few days ago. So you are welcome to join and see if this is something that is possible. In medicine, decline of physical exam due to use of technology. Overutilization of technology leads to rising costs of medical care. Lengthening diseases that are diseases that have no clinical evidence but become like the person becomes sick when they become aware of the diagnostic. Part 3, I can do that. Conclusion, machine learning and AI are not philosophically neutral. So the philosophical paradigm is reductionist, biased towards the Western atheistic agnostic worldview. Overuse will most likely lead to adopting a non-Islamic philosophical position of being in the world. Heidegger's concept of inframing is a complex and profound philosophical idea that can provide a critical lens through which to understand modern technology, including artificial intelligence and machine learning. Inframing refers to the way humans conceptualize nature and the world as a standing reserve, essentially as resources to be used, controlled, and ordered for efficient use. This worldview transforms everything, including humans, into a commodity or resource. It's a mode of revealing that shapes how we see the world and our place in it, emphasizing utility, productivity, and control. When applying the concept of Heidegger's concept of inframing to AI and machine learning, several interpretations and applications emerge. The three important ones are reductionism and utilitarianism, where AI and machine learning might be seen as the pinnacle of inframing, reducing complex organic reality into data and algorithms that can be manipulated and exploited. They turn human experiences, behaviors, and emotions into quantifiable and predictable patterns. The second point, loss of essence. Heidegger was concerned with the essence of technology, which he believed was not something technical, but rather the way technology changes our relationship with the world. With AI, this might mean a further distancing from intrinsic value of beings in the world and a deeper immersion into seeing the world as something to be used and optimized. And last one is challenge to humanity. Inframing challenges the essence of what it means to be human. As AI and machine learning grow more sophisticated, they might reinforce the view of humans as resources or data points, thereby diminishing our understanding of human dignity, creativity, spontaneity, and even forgetting our divine mission of being Khalifatullah fil ard. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you. And so there are some references. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hamzi. Do we have any questions? We have loads of questions here. I will come.
Should we start? Assalamu alaikum. Very interesting talk.
Thank you.
So you explained two different aspects of artificial intelligence and machine learning. One was about data gathering and trying to assimilate that data to be able to give better information, and the other one was artificial intelligence. So I watched this fascinating documentary ages ago, 2016, called AlphaGo. And in AlphaGo, there was one part in it which was really fascinating, where they played a Go piece, Move 93, I think it was, and in there, Dan Silver and Demis Hassabis were watching the machine write its own code. Is that part of what you're explaining about? So when they write their own code, what are they what is the machine using to rewrite the code? Because the people who had written the original machine didn't understand what it was reasoning, and the move that it made was not in the line of sense of the understanding of the data that they had gathered. I think the machine won the game, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Could you explain what?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is effectively consistent with the concept of inframing. So inframing, I didn't get a chance to explain it, but according to Heidegger, it's a mode of displacing the worldliness of the world into a man-made world. So instead of being connected to reality, so the machines, in a way, they are shifting the understanding of the world into their worldview. So therefore, it's expected. Yeah, so it is there. From the point of view of this concept of inframing, yeah, it is expected that you can actually, you have this kind of shift. So yeah, it is possible. So I was just an anecdote. I mean, I was trying to write the summary of this talk using ChatGPT, and you see, I was like emphasizing on the importance of making dhikr. Muslims should make dhikr, but then at each time, for about 3-4 times, it was removing exactly that part. So everything was kept except that point. Muslims should make dhikr and make sure that they have a pure heart to be connected to reality. So you see, there is a bias there. I mean, like it's a balance not only against Muslims as such, it's really a bias against the worldview that is God-centered.
So it's only mimicking, really. I mean, it's not even artificial intelligence. It's just mimicking somebody else's.
Yeah, but yes, exactly. So there's a bias. I mean, this is why I'm talking about the existence of philosophical, a bias in the philosophical framework. So there is a premise there, and based on this premise, everything will happen. Yeah. So there's two articles I found that the large language models are biased against Muslims, and then there's another paper, like de-biased large language models are still against Muslims. So even if you unbias it, it automatically is still against Muslims. So this is why I was arguing for this, and actually I suggested the idea in a meeting with Prince Ghazi a few months ago, where we were discussing about AI and Islam, and he's aware of this problem. But yeah, so there is a need for a lot of means actually to be able to fight that thing somehow.
Okay, I see we have loads of hands up for questions, but I'm afraid we've run out of time.
Yeah, I'm here, so I'll be happy actually. So I'll be happy to get feedback, and I'm in London for a little while, so yeah, we can meet for coffees and discuss. Yeah.
No, please do take Dr. from the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.